How you guys doing? Today we're going to be looking at the migration passes that you guys are obviously going to need to migrate, because many of you guys probably aren't in migration yet because you might be newer players, or you are in migration like myself. I'm probably wondering what it's costing other players in the game and probably what the changes are to migration. So let's talk about it in today's video. And on top of that, obviously I'm going to give you some extra migration tips and tricks for new players that you should be taking advantage of, which many of us, experienced players are always taking advantage of. So if you enjoy this type of video, smash that comment and subscribe. And let's just kind of get into the real fun stuff, right? What we're talking about, because obviously, as you guys know, we have the migration passes rocking right now, right? So you can see the historic power for me is at 67.7 million power, and it's costing me 14 passes. And obviously it's wondering, okay, then what about someone at 65 million? Or what if you're at 69.999 million or 70 million, right? What is the brackets and thresholds that is required? And that's kind of what we did on my Discord, as well as on the Empire 40 Discord, on the official Age of Empires mobile Discord, and on my YouTube post. So a big shout out to all of you guys that actually helped me out with whatever you could. You can see how I sent this through. All you need to do is literally send me this screenshot. I need to see what you are going to be able to do. And again, straight away, Steve doing being Steve came in 119.7 million power, and that's 30 passes. Super important to keep an eye on that because of the different people that did showcase it, which I'm going to showcase in a moment. And you got Selfie in here, again, 110 million power, right? Bang on, 110 million, and he's only 19,000 over that. But guess what? He's still 30 passes. So you can see the thresholds coming up, right? The difference of these potential thresholds, where even if you're 115 million power right now, you should be paying 30 passes still the same. If we come down to Anubis here, he did a really good one because he didn't tell us. He didn't tell us what it was. 8 passes, and we have no clue what that is, right? So it was a bit of an unfortunate one, but I did have a good guess of where that's going to be because of some of the other data that we have. We got Psycho Fire, say Psycho Fire here. We got Ayano, 54.3, 11 passes, so you can get where that one's going. Keep moving down, and I did obviously re-ping people, but this was a really good eye-opener. You can see this guy's only 35.4k power over that 100 million threshold, and he's 30 passes, and that is huge because that sets kind of the tone of some of the brackets of what we was able to see from there, right? So you can see we still kept getting more in, just kind of showcase all of the examples that we did get for us, as well as some of the bigger ones in other channels, right? So if we go into Empire 40, big shout out to you guys, Empire 40, that came out and helped us on here. You can see in the streamer's corner, I did ping, right? I was like pinging, could you guys kind of post whatever you could? And straight away we got 25 passes here for 97.3 million power, as well as down here, which was the big eye opener, 40 passes for 174 million power. So there is an increase at some point, which did make me have to think a little bit outside the box and kind of gather this information, because we didn't get, obviously, that lowered, right? So what I was able to do from here, just to kind of showcase it now, is make these brackets. And the way I did this is using those Discord examples with more Discord examples, and like I said, my YouTube post with you guys that did give me some info, so big thank you for those, which did again kind of collaborate with everything that we've got and showcased so far in the video. These are the brackets that I made up, and you can see there's certain stars on certain brackets because at certain points there has to be an upgrade. So for example, is the 100 million one? 100 million to 150 million, there must be a breakpoint where you hit 150 million, and guess what? It's 30 passes to go up, or it's going to be 104. No, because that guy was 147, right? So this is what I'm saying. It has to be 150 million in order to go up. And if you're above like 150 million, it's going to be 40 passes. And I'm assuming that's going to be the same now for everyone. Even if you're 200 million power, I'm assuming it's 40 passes too from the maximum threshold being hit. Now, with that, there is some other big things that is missing, and this is because you could see the info that I did receive, but we wasn't able to get full clarity. So a good example, again, this bracket right here, 80 to 80.1 to 85 million power, right? We knew someone above 80 million needed 20 passes from, again, information that we've gathered from data. But it needs to break point at some point, because we've seen someone at, again, 97 million power needing 25 passes. The issue that we've got, though, as you guys can guess, is we don't know if you're at 85.1 million power all the way going up to 89.9999 million, what your passes are going to be, or if you're 90 million power going up to 94.9999 million power, because as you can see, there's a 20 to 25 passes threshold, but there is, again, a big gap of power missing, which assumes, from my assumptions, is going to be a 22 pass, then a 24 pass threshold for those players. So if you are, for example, between 85 plus, so if you're at 85 million or above that, to 90 million or 89.9999 million, it should cost you 22 passes. And then if you're 90 million going up to now 94.9999 million, it should be 24, because then you hit the 95 to the 100 million bracket, which is 25 passes, which we have seen. So that's kind of the way I have worked out some of these brackets, and you can see I've tried to use as much of the data that we've been given and just logic from the devs that we've seen above, because a lot of the other brackets got fully shown, right? So we know clearly if you're at 79.9999, it will cost you 18 passes, but as soon as you hit 80 million and you're literally 80 million and 1 power, it's gonna cost you 20 passes. You just break this threshold and you just jump into the new brackets. So you can see there all the info from the guys that we've seen on Discord, my YouTube passes, posts, should I say, and anywhere else you guys was able to send me, even in DMs for it. So these are hopefully pretty accurate, the passes that you're going to need in the future, even if you're a brand new player into the game and you go for your first migration event, since they might not change this in the next migration, because I think this is going to be one where they're pretty happy with it, because it is pretty darn cheap, because we can actually kind of showcase how cheap it really is now, right? On the purpose of, I'm already on 8 passes, and I know a lot of people are already on like 6 passes and so on for free. So it's gonna be pretty darn cheap for most players to move. I only need to get 6 passes in order to move up, right? 8 take away 14. We've got 6 remaining, right? We need that 6 to get there. So it's gonna cost me potentially $6 in order to migrate, because everyone should know from the previous migration talk, even Catherine and all of the mods have all said the same thing. It should be a pass per dollar. So literally, if you need 1 pass, it's $1. However, there's going to be a big issue here, and this is where I've got a little bit of I wouldn't say a confession to make, but a worry to make about Age of Empires Mobile, because I'll be real, none of the content creators have been told any of this information in regards to how much it's going to cost you to actually migrate, because you got to think, in order to get these migration passes, right, we need to obviously go to the mall. We don't know how they're going to be structured. If you guys know, if you're a spender, for example, you know where I'm going with this, because normally bundles escalate, right? They always escalate. A really good example of this is how you look at the custom gifts, right? The custom gifts is 99p, and this could be where you get 1 migration pass, for example, right? And then whatever this else is, it is what it is, right? And then you get to the 179, and this might be where you get 2 migration passes, right? And it all kind of makes sense. But if you're a spender, and we go back into the migration passes just as an example, what if you do need like 16 passes or 20 passes or 30 passes, right? Some of the actual higher, larger amounts of passes. What if you need the large amounts, because the issue I think that people are going to notice is they're going to need 1 or 2 extra passes in order to get to migrate. But in order to do that, they're going to jump to the maximum bundle or the one below it. So I would assume at some point someone's going to have to pay like double that they needed to pay, if that makes sense. Like, they're going to have to buy a $27.99 bundle when they only needed $2 of that bundle. Does that make sense? Because the way we've seen it in this game is the migration passes are part of a pack. It's some sort of pack that you buy and it gives you passes and passes and passes. It's not a toggle. And that would be really interesting if they did that. But I know they're never going to do that because it's, to them, not making them that much money. But it would be a lot different if you could go to an area around here and there was just like a slider and you just pulled the slider and it for the amount of passes that you needed, and then it maybe went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the more passes you needed, it unlocked bundles. It was like 1, 2, and then 3, and then you could pick whatever in those and get all of that in one bundle. That'd be pretty good, but they're never going to do something like that because it's not going to make them as much money. So I do worry for you guys, the bigger spenders, on how this is going to play out when it comes to the packs. And that's honestly my only worry. That is my only worry. Even though we all agree the migration event, again, kind of been an absolute dog shit event on the sole purpose that not really giving us information that we wanted early enough, which we've all been asking for. Again, not listening to the community, giving us 5 groups instead of just even having 3 groups of 62 to 65 servers, which means larger groups, but again, still split up. So you can have maybe like the top servers, maybe 3 or 4 to 5 of them in each one, for example, and then a little bit more and it trickles down, blah, 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 right? They didn't do any of that, right? But apart from that, everything else, I will be real with you guys when it comes to, you know, the actual passes side of things, how much these are going. It is cheaper. The actual pricing for these passes, I think people will confirm it has been cheaper because of the new brackets they have actually entailed for everyone out there. And obviously because of then the amount of passes that you need. So in theory, they're saying if you're an 80 million power player, it's going to cost you $20 in order to migrate. That's the best way to kind of look at this. It should cost you around 20, 25, $30 in order to migrate. However, I don't think that's going to be the case because of the way the bundles will be structured. So before we kind of move on, obviously, if you've enjoyed that section, smash like, comment, and subscribe. We're still continuing on with migration because this is going to be more tailored for those guys that want, you know, tips and tricks to do with migration. Maybe you're more of a newer player. Maybe you are going through migration and you didn't do any of this yet. Don't worry, you can take advantage of some of these things, and many people should be probably face palming because these are honestly basics, and I feel like a bit of a dummy reminding people to do this, but hey, people just forget because you get busy and you forget, lost track of time, right? So the biggest issue when you migrate, as many people will tell you, is the fact that when you migrate, you are going to be losing all basically of your resources. Your resources is tied to your warehouse limit. So whatever your full maximum protection limit is, which is 2.3 million, that's going to be across your entire screen. So you can see, even for me, I'm losing 60 million resources. That might be a lot for the newer players. For us, you know, veterans, this is pocket change. There's going to be players out there that have 500 to 1 billion resources in each of these categories, and they are potentially going to be losing all of that. So a way you can do this, and I do apologize for the Krakens because unfortunately you're a Kraken, you have to play the game your way, right? But everyone else who's kind of normal can take advantage of this, which is simply start fucking using big ticket items right now. Big ticket items are going to be basically massive upgrades that just cost a shit ton. And I know you guys were probably saving this for a Mightiest Governor event, but hey, if you're migrating, you ain't going to be using it, so you need to do it right now. So you can be popping these big renovations, for example, as a really good one, right? The 112 million resources required, and this is from level 1 to level 2. You got to think from level 2 to level 3, it's gonna be even more. You don't need to obviously use your speed ups. Just start the renovation, because the thing is, there's no point starting these small renovations like any of your farm ones right now, because it's 15 million. That is making not even a dent into the amount of resources you're going to be needing to try and get rid of, right? So just think, if you do this to your warhol, you do this to your town center, even if you do this to like some of your actual buildings over here, like my archery range, if I were to go to renovate that, it's 56 million. That's a good chunk, but for certain players, they could be going to renovation 3, 4, and 5, for example. It's going to cost a ton of resources, and yes, you're going to be starting the renovation, and yes, the timer is going to be going, but guess what? It's not the end of the world, because you can see already, I've got over a month to wait for these ones, right? We've got a month to wait for renovation 2. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, dude. In a month's time or 2 months' time, depending on what renovation you're doing, then worry about it, right? Because you're going to have 2 months worth of time to accumulate speed ups, accumulate what you need, and not worry about anything. It's just build up now. Build up, build up, build up. So that's one of the big ones that anyone will tell you. If you're not doing that right now, you're an idiot. A good example, again, using resources is your mercenary stuff. You gotta think mercenaries are quite big right now, especially because of the changes that they've done. So players like myself that have kind of only dabbled a little bit, you can see I dabbled a tiny bit here and a tiny bit here, because obviously I'm an archer main at heart and I've got some good cavalry too. I obviously prioritize that, right? Because of the new mercenary changes, all of these buffs now apply to your garrison as well, which is great for certain players. Obviously, it's not going to be beneficial to me getting swarmed by someone who's super, super powerful, but it does ward off other players around my power, right, from swarming me, which is kind of what you want to happen, right? So doing these are quite good, because you got to think, this is, again, just 11 million for 19 days. And depending on how far you are in your mercenary tech, you could be on stage 2, and people will tell you this doesn't give you as much power per kind of time required or resources required, but we're migrating, and because we're migrating, we need to start taking advantage of this. This level 1's 15 million already, right? Already in one, which is kind of nutty if you think about it, right? So if you're able to do that, get some mercenary ones started, especially the late game ones, like these 4 out of 5s going to 5 out of 5s. It's gonna, again, get rid of resource. So your main objective here is to get rid of as much resource. A really good thing you can do as well right now, since you are in the migration stage. So if you are in the migration right here, right now, the migration preview and the migration application, as well as the cost, is already set. So this is already set, and as you can see, the number of passes required for the current migration event will not change. So this is a really good time if you really want to get rid of a shit ton of resources. And some people might say you shouldn't do this, but hey, depending on the power and depending on how many troops you might have, it's a good one, because yes, train some troops. Why not, right? You can see for myself, troop details, like I've got a decent amount of troops, and I have been killing a lot of troops recently in the Mightiest Empire and stuff to build up now a competitive archer march. And yeah, I'm an archer player and I'm gonna get bullied, but I enjoy playing archers, so I'm not gonna put them down, right? I enjoy what I play and I'm gonna play it, right? But I could, again, train archers. So right now I could go for like 600,000. I could put maybe 700,000 archers in there, and the power doesn't matter because now it's already set, and I'm getting rid of, again, resources. I am increasing my power with troops. That's my main type, and obviously able to migrate and get benefits out of that. This also occurs for your mounts now. So if you're a mount player, it's really good right now to start doing any of your upgrades. So you can see, if you go to my items here, I have officially got from last week, as you guys might have checked out, all of the adornments for archers that you need, technically for both Ramses archers and Mulan archers, which is going to swap out to obviously the good old Alpazlan, but it's a really good time if you have your main ones, for example, like this resistance, you can actually start to intensify it, right? This is a really good time to start intensifying your main stats and getting these built up on your main ones, and then going to your attribute rerolls, and then going for obviously the free rerolls for your mount. So you're able to do that right now and start building up your actual dormants and getting a bunch of power. This is again the same, if you probably not guessed it, for your heroes. So if you're in hero development right now, you can 5-star any of your heroes, you can finish doing off your rings, you can start up your gear, do anything you want to do, because now you're out of the restriction. The restriction is over, and you can actually kind of start powering up as you please. Obviously, this takes a full advantage of players kind of competing if there was a Mightiest Government event running, of people running in a Mightiest Government event, especially from the last time it was running. So really good kind of ways you can kind of try and mid-max your account from that stage, but that's kind of the most part of it. The only thing you can actually do to kind of really take advantage here of the Empire migration is, honestly, and this is micro adjustments, but take advantage of these villages. Depending on what you need to do, as you can imagine, you can use the task mobilization. This is going to be really good now, because every time you're going to be popping it, it's 2 hours, technically it's 2 for 6 hours now, because it's free buildings and it's your renovations, and it's going to keep coming off cooldown every 3 days. You can kind of keep using this. This is what I'm doing, but what you can actually do, which is really good, and which I need to do later on, is go to like your area here, and you can actually get rid of like your daily limit on your market, technically even like your training speed, because guess what, we don't need any healing speed if we're not in war, right? You can get another 6 of these guys, or if you play China, you get more obviously villagers. You can assign and get 50 stamina, which is going to be a long way, because I'll show you in a second why. But the fishing one, obtaining 20% extra more fishing is really good, because as people will tell you, it doesn't take much time to do. You can hit fast fishing, and if you get a really good score, it goes crazy. And you gotta think, you're gonna be getting all of this, right? And you get more and more of it the higher and higher the points you have, and those are going into your bag. So all I'm saying is you could be actually stockpiling food in your bag through the seaside fishing right now, as well as obviously then using your stamina, like I've already done, on killing all of your barbs and stuff, because you got to think, even though you are migrating, you could be killing these guys, which will give you speed ups on kills. So if we go just to one of these battle reports, you'll notice the rewards, right? We're getting a ton of stuff here. So using your villagers to get stamina is actually beneficial for your account. It's obviously leveling up your heroes too, even though we're not level 140, your heroes maintain the XP, right? So if we jump out of the actual thing, go to our main XP, you can see I've overflowed 8.9 million to 2.5, and we need to keep doing that, because as you can see with my Mulan, she's got 41.7 million XP, and she's going to be able to basically hit level 140 without really the need of XP bucks, which is kind of what's required. So it's really important to keep using your villagers to get stamina during migration, to kill stuff, because you can use your time more efficiently, right? That is kind of the whole thing with migration. Time efficiency, powering up when you need to power up, and not powering up beforehand and getting screwed over on the path requirements, right? So that is pretty much it. That's pretty much it for today's video, guys. Empire migration. Tomorrow will be migration, and you'll see then and then, only then, should I say, when and where I'm migrating, because I have already decided. It's been confirmed with me, Steven, our group. I can't wait. It's going to be fun for this new chapter for the channel, where you guys are going to see a lot more competitive gameplay and competitive kingdoms all fighting in the top. So even if I'm not going to be the biggest fish in the sea, I'm definitely going to be that Finding Nemo casting it, watching it, and showcasing it for everyone out there. So look forward to it, right? So just kind of finish it up one last time for you guys. The migration passes, I did purposely here make it full image as well. This will be on my official Discord, so if you want to join it, check out the description down below and just scroll down. You will see my Discord link, and if it's not working, just put a comment on the channel, or on the video shall I say, and I will reply to it and put a brand new pinned comment and link for you guys to join. But this will be on my Discord as well. This is all the passes for power brackets that I was able to find again from you guys in the official Age of Empires Mobile Discord, in the Sneakyy Army Discord. And again, big shout out to the Empire 40 peeps that did help out again from their own Discord, giving us some extra juicy screenshots for this video. So with that, you know what to do. Smash that, comment, and subscribe. And until the next one, stay safe, guys. Stay sneaky. Peace out.